From the brink of relegation to the Premier League, how Frank Lampard pulled off one of the Championship's greatest stories. Imagine walking into a job where your team is 17th in the table, just 2 points above the drop zone, with fans still hurting from losing a manager they absolutely loved. Nobody is giving you a chance. The pressure is instant, the expectations are low, and yet, less than 2 seasons later, you are standing on a pitch with tears in your eyes because your team has just booked their place in the Premier League for the first time in 25 years. That is exactly what Frank Lampard has done at Coventry City. And honestly, it is one of the most remarkable stories in English football right now. Whether you are a Chelsea fan watching from afar, a Coventry supporter who lived every single minute of it, or just someone who loves football, this story deserves your full attention. So let us break it all down, start to finish. The job nobody wanted to take. On the 28th of November 2024, Coventry City made the call that surprised a lot of people. They brought in Frank Lampard to replace Mark Robins, a manager who had been at the club since 2017 and had built a genuine bond with the supporters. Robins was a fan favorite. He was the guy who had stabilized the club, taken them up, and kept them competitive. Letting him go was always going to be painful for the fans. So when Lampard walked through the door, it was not exactly a warm welcome from everyone. The club was sitting in 17th place in the Championship, 2 points above the relegation zone, the squad was not flying, confidence was not high, and the new manager was coming in mid-season, which is always one of the hardest things to do in football. Here is the question a lot of people were asking at the time. Was Lampard the right man for this? His record as a manager had been mixed. He had done a solid job at Derby County. He had a decent first season at Chelsea. But then things fell apart in his second year at Stamford Bridge. He was sacked, and his caretaker return in 2023 did not go the way anyone would have hoped either. So there were legitimate doubts. But here is what people sometimes forget about Frank Lampard, the manager. He is a learner. He absorbs difficult experiences and tries to come back better. And at Coventry, he was given the chance to prove that, steadying the ship and then some. The first thing Lampard had to do was stop the bleeding, and he did. By the end of the 2024-25 season, he had taken Coventry from 17th to 5th in the Championship. That is a massive shift in fortunes over the second half of the season. The team started playing with more confidence, more structure, and more belief. You could see the identity he was building. They made it to the playoff semifinals. The chance of immediate promotion was right there, and they came agonizingly close. Coventry lost 3-2 on aggregate to Sunderland, who went on to win the playoffs and earn their own promotion. That kind of defeat, at that stage of the season, is absolutely brutal. You have been grinding away for months, you get to the final stretch, and it is ripped away from you. How does a manager respond to that? How does a dressing room bounce back from a semi-final exit when promotion felt so close you could almost touch it? Lampard's answer was clear. You get back to work. You rebuild. And you come back stronger. The 2025-26 season. A statement. From day one, when the 2025-26 championship season kicked off, Coventry City meant business, and that showed almost immediately. 9 games into the season, they were top of the league. 9 games, that is not luck. That is a team that came back from the summer with something to prove, with a clear plan, and with total belief in what their manager was asking of them. What happened next is what really tells you everything. They did not fall off. They did not have a wobble that sent them sliding down the table. They stayed there. They held that top spot for 37 match weeks. That is nearly the entire season spent at the summit of the championship. That kind of consistency is incredibly difficult to maintain in a division as competitive and unpredictable as the championship. Think about what that means. Week after week, result after result, Coventry kept delivering. Other teams had good runs and tried to chase them down, but the Sky Blues held firm. And on the 17th of April 2026, it became official. Coventry City were going back to the Premier League. The numbers that tell the story. Let us talk about what Coventry achieved by the time promotion was confirmed, because the statistics are genuinely impressive. 86 points from 43 games played, 25 wins, 11 draws, 7 losses, 85 goals scored, 43 conceded, and they finished 13 points clear of third-place Millwall. That is not scraping through. That is dominating a division. A 13-point gap to third place tells you that this team was operating on a completely different level to most of the league for large stretches of the season. 85 goals scored as well. That is an attacking team. That is a team playing with freedom, playing forward, and finishing their chances. Under Lampard, Coventry developed a real threat going forward, and it showed in the numbers. For context, the last time Coventry City played in the Premier League was 2001. A whole generation of supporters had never seen their club at that level. Children who were born after the relegation are now adults watching their team go back up. That is the kind of moment that lives with you forever as a football fan. Lampard the manager. What changed? This is the part that matters most if you are trying to understand the full picture, because this is not just a story about one good season. It is a story about a manager growing, learning, and finally putting it all together. At Chelsea in his first spell, Lampard worked with a huge squad, big egos, big wages, and enormous pressure from day one. He did well in his first season, genuinely well, guiding the team to a top 4 finish despite a transfer ban and losing Eden Hazard. But in his second season, with a big transfer budget and higher expectations, things fell apart. He was sacked in January 2021. That hurt. He has said as much publicly. Being dismissed from the club where you were a legend as a player, the club you gave everything to, is not something you just brush off. It leaves a mark. Then came the caretaker return in 2023. He described that himself as a holding the baby job. He was parachuted in during a chaotic period to provide stability for 7 weeks. It was not a situation built for success. He knew it, the fans knew it, and yet he gave everything he had, just like he always does when Chelsea calls. What Coventry has given him is something he never quite had at the bigger clubs. Time. Space to build. A project he could shape from the ground up. No superstar players demanding things. No owner changing the plan every few months. Just a club, a squad, a clear mission, and the freedom to work. And he has thrived in that environment. Winning Championship Manager of the Month for both October and November is not nothing. That means 2 consecutive months where the judges looked across the entire division and said, that man is doing something special right now. And being nominated for Championship Manager of the Season at the EFL Awards is recognition that what he has built at Coventry is genuine, not just a flash in the pan. What this means for Lampard's legacy as a manager. As a player, Frank Lampard needs no introduction. 201 goals in 648 appearances for Chelsea, the club's all-time leading scorer, a midfielder who could do everything. He is part of the Chelsea team of 120. He is a true Chelsea great, and there is no debate about any of that. But as a manager? The picture has been more complicated. Until now. This promotion is his first as a manager in his entire career. That is significant. Derby, Chelsea first spell, Chelsea second spell, nothing that resulted in a promotion or a trophy to put in the cabinet. Now he has one. He has taken a club from near relegation in the Championship to the Premier League in roughly 18 months. That belongs on his managerial record forever. Does it change the conversation about him as a top-level manager? That is a fair and interesting question. The Championship is not the Premier League. Managing Coventry is not managing Chelsea. But doing what he has done in the way he has done it with the resources available to him shows real tactical quality, real man management skills, and real ability to build a team culture over time. Could this lead to bigger jobs? Almost certainly, people will start asking that question again. And if he keeps developing as a coach, there is no reason why he cannot make the step back up. The Chelsea connection, will he ever go back? And here is where we have to talk about the elephant in the room for Chelsea fans specifically. Because Lampard has been very open about this. He has said clearly and without hesitation that if Chelsea called him again, he would say yes straight away. He would not hesitate. He has described Chelsea as the club that means everything to him, his 13-year playing career there, the goals, the trophies, the memories. He talks about it with a warmth and depth that goes beyond just professional loyalty. This is personal for him. This is his club. He has said those exact words. When he came back in 2023 as caretaker, he called it an easy decision. Not because the job was easy. He knew it was going to be difficult. He knew the team was in a bad place and that he could not fix everything in 7 weeks. But the decision to go back was easy, because it is Chelsea. When your club calls, you answer. He has also expressed real pride in his work at the club, particularly in his first full spell when he helped develop young talent and gave academy players genuine first-team opportunities. He sees that as part of his legacy there, and rightly so. There are also reports that within the Chelsea structure, Lampard is still highly respected. His experience, his understanding of the club, his connection to the fan base, those things do not disappear. And there is speculation, at least in some circles, that his future involvement with Chelsea in some capacity is not out of the question. But here is what this Coventry success might actually do for any future relationship with Chelsea. It gives him credibility as a manager, not just as a Chelsea legend stepping into the manager role because of who he was as a player, but as someone who can build something from scratch, who can take a struggling team and transform it, who can maintain consistency over a long season against tough competition. If Chelsea ever do call again, he will answer. That much is clear. And if that call does come, he will arrive with a championship winner's medal and a story that proves he can do the job. The emotional interview and what it tells us after Coventry secured promotion on the 17th of April 2026, Lampard gave an emotional interview. And honestly, how could you not be emotional in that moment? Think about what this man has been through in football management. The dismissal from Chelsea in 2021 that he said hurt him. The difficult caretaker spell in 2023, the playoff heartbreak with Coventry at the end of last season, the pressure of taking over a team in trouble, the months of grinding work to build something worth believing in. And then, on a Tuesday in April, it all comes together. The final whistle blows. Coventry are promoted, the fans go wild, and the manager who so many people wrote off, who so many people said was not good enough for the top level, stands there knowing he has just achieved something truly special. Tears in those moments are not weakness. They are proof that it meant something, that the hard work was real, that the journey was genuinely tough. You do not cry like that unless you care deeply about every single step of the process. That interview, whatever was said in it, tells you everything about where Frank Lampard is right now as a person and as a manager. He is not just a Chelsea legend going through the motions of a management career. He is someone who genuinely loves football, who gives everything to his clubs, and who has rediscovered his best self at Coventry City. What happens next for Coventry and Lampard? The Premier League is a completely different animal. We all know that. Teams go up from the Championship full of confidence and then discover very quickly how big the step up actually is. Coventry will need significant investment in the squad, they will need to add quality at the right positions, and they will need their best players to stay despite interest from other clubs, but they also have a manager who has Premier League experience, not just as a player but as a manager. He knows what that level demands, he knows how to prepare a team for it, he knows the tactical adjustments that need to be made. That is not nothing. That is actually quite valuable. Whether Coventry can stay up will depend on a lot of factors that are not yet known. The transfer window, the injury list, the fixture list, the form of the players who got them promoted. These are all unknowns right now. What is known is that they have a manager who has shown he can build a team, who has shown he can maintain a winning culture over a full season, and who has shown that he grows through difficult experiences rather than being broken by them. That gives Coventry City every reason to feel optimistic about their return to the top flight. A story worth celebrating here at Lucy Chelsea Analysis. We talk a lot about Chelsea, about the players, the tactics, the transfers, the highs and the lows, but sometimes a story comes along that demands attention even when it is happening somewhere else. And this is one of those stories. Frank Lampard is a Chelsea legend. That will never change. But right now, in April 2026, he is also something else. He is the man who brought Coventry City back to the Premier League. He is a championship promotion winner. He is a manager who took the hardest lessons of his career, learned from them, and used them to build something genuinely brilliant at a club that needed him. Is this the start of a new chapter for Lampard as a top manager? Is a return to Chelsea, in some form, still on the cards one day? Will Coventry surprise everyone in the Premier League next season? All of those questions are open. All of them are worth watching. But for now, let us just appreciate what has happened. A club that has waited 25 years for this moment. A manager who has grown in front of our eyes. And a football story that reminds you why this sport gets under your skin and never lets you go. Well done, Frank. Well done, Coventry. The Premier League is back, and it is about time.